So I want to say something about the Israel-Palestine Gaza conflict. And I think I have a different perspective than many Americans do because I'm not American. I'm from Germany. And I'm also Iranian, but I don't have any allegiance to Iran. But I always was a very proud German. Um, my disappointment in Germany started when I saw how they handled the COVID lockdown and how I see that they're very complicit in supporting the US in starting all these wars. I believe in diplomacy. I believe that we're all better off if we get along and if we trade and if we seek agreements rather than trying to be superior or one up or just fight all the time. So I think that the US did a lot of bad things, has done a lot of meddling in other countries' affairs. The war in Afghanistan, Iraq was horrible, very misguided. I think it's going to cost $7 trillion with interest. If we want to start a war, if it's that important, then we should pay the taxes for it. We should be able to pay for it, not borrow it. We're borrowing it for it because we're trying to appease special interest groups and enrich the military companies. We were never under any threat. Why are we in Ukraine? Why don't we just trade with Russia? They have a lot of resources. Why do we have to make enemies? Okay? So, but what I'm trying to get to is each government, the US government, the Russian government, the Ukraine government, they all have an agenda. They all think they're right, and they want to turn their citizens against other countries. But none of our own countries are that innocent either. Okay, when someone goes after us, we also have to ask why. What did we do? What's our part? So when it comes to Israel, I don't know. I started watching a bunch of things, and Israel needs to have its own land. Everybody needs to have its own land and its own freedom. I really agree with that. But one thing that really shocked me, and not a lot of people are reporting on this, is that when Israel was first given its land, the Palestinians had a lot of land within Israel, and over the years, more and more of that land has been taken to now where they have the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. I actually had to get a map and look at what all this was. But what Israel has done with the Gaza Strip is they have made it an open-air prison. So the Gaza Strip is a part of Israel that borders the sea and Egypt. But it's a prison. They can't even go to the sea. They can't trade. It's a complete prison, and they can't get out. Nobody can get in, and so their population density is atrocious. If you Google open air prison Israel or Gaza, I mean, you'll see some videos on this. The Israelis do not let in any. They let in the minimal amount of food. They find out how many calories these people need so that they don't die, but that they don't. They can't trade. Like, they're imprisoned there. And unfortunately, in 2005, this radical group called Hamas took power, and they've been in power ever since, even though most of the people in Gaza don't like them, just like a lot of us don't like our president. But anyway, for whatever reason, these Hamas people had that paragliding thing into Israel recently, which they shouldn't have done. But Israel should not be making them into an open-air prison. In fact, Amnesty International and the United Nations has called it a human rights violation. And when Israel bombed the whatever school or mosque, it's a war crime. Like, Israel is not innocent either. I mean, if you put San Diego in an open-air prison, we would revolt too. So I think what we should focus on is how can we get these people to get along, have their own land, and have their own freedom. Same as with Ukraine and Russia. Why can't we all just get along? And what I wanted to say is the Germans are very upset with Elon Musk because he's not censoring people on Twitter. I'm very upset with the Germans. I'm German, and I do not like how Germany is acting. So when I say the US is acting badly, I'm not saying that because I'm beholden to my own country or I have like a twisted view. I think that when it comes to government, we have to look at, is our government effective? Is our government actually powerful in the world and stable and contributing, or are we just causing chaos and war? Because I think a lot of these countries, Germany, the US, is causing chaos and war. That's what they want. Nikki Haley calling for, we got to raise Gaza. And even I was watching the Rubin Report and Megyn Kelly, I usually like them. They were all just talking about, oh, we should just raise Gaza. Because they're trying to take sides with Israel. And by the way, there's no such thing as we can't disagree with someone because of their race or their country. You can disagree with, I disagree with Candace Owens. She's black, but that's not why. I disagree right now with Megyn Kelly. She's a white blonde woman. And we can disagree with Israel. It's almost sinful to disagree with Israel, but I do. And I disagree with the US, and I disagree with Germany. Germany is very white. My mom is very white, very, very white, very, very blonde. I disagree with Germany. I would like to see all of the countries getting along. That's what I would like to see. I think that we would be better off as a world. And spending money on war is squandering our resources. I don't see the point. But, I don't get all bent out of shape. I'm like, that's them over there. It doesn't really affect me. I don't even know why we have to get involved. But I'll tell you why. Because the politicians want the money from the lobbyists and from the war companies. Without war, a lot of people feel like there's no purpose to us. We got to constantly be in a war. So that's just all I want to say. I think that we have to look at all sides, and most people are not looking at all sides. They're taking sides. They're taking sides because they're emotionally invested. And my side is, can't we just get along? Can we work on a peace deal? By the way, some people have proposed a two-state solution for Israel, like some land for Palestine, some land for Israel. Israel doesn't want, the current Netanyahu or whatever, the Israeli leader, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want a solution. He just wants to be powerful. And the people in the Gaza Strip, they're kind of powerless. They can't do anything. But apparently Hamas, which is this terrorist organization, they're underground. So if you want to get them, you're not going to get them, apparently, by bombing the civilians in Gaza, half of which are children, by the way. Half of the population of Gaza is children. They're not powerful people, but the Hamas is under the ground. I hope that people can learn to get along. And what I want to say is, I really think that people should look at both sides and realize that both sides have a part to play in any conflict. Why did those people attack us on 9/11? Because we are fucking meddling in the Middle East constantly. Sometimes people are just out to get you, but sometimes they do it because you're pissing them off with your meddling. So I'm curious what you guys think would be. I'm just going to delete everyone who's just going to get all triggered. I'm more interested in a healthy dialogue of how would you solve this crisis? How could everyone get along? And they could. They could definitely get along if they wanted to. Do you want to get along or do you want to be right? That's all I want to say.